we can continue with wrapping up week 4 recap with our box scores of the week. Start with our most impressive box score. Who did you have going up?
So my most impressive box score of the week or BS of the week was Danny Green.
Mm,
Danny Green had a game in which he played 50 minutes. First of all,
yes,
50
yes,
minutes.
right,
Danny
because
Green
they
played
had
50
nobody
minutes.
else to play.
Yeah, there was certainly something to that tune because I think he had about 27 or 30 shots that game too. I can't remember the last time or if Danny Green has ever had 27 or 30 shots in his NBA career. But he was able to hit 9 threes, 29 points, 10 rebounds, six six assists.
Yeah, he
Danny
filled it
Green is
up.
giving out assists.
He filled it up, man. He filled it up. I didn't watch that game just because I was like that. I kept seeing the box score, and B's numbers, and I was like, this doesn't seem like
And I was fortunate to play against Danny Green in a couple of leagues, and maybe that might have turned a couple of the matchups because I was going against this BS. But yeah, that
yeah.
was absolute garbage. But this just describes the situation with fantasy basketball where you know expect a lot of these BS performances from players. Given the situation that we're currently in.
Yeah, my most impressive box score comes from Dame Lillard, 42 minutes in his game, and 48 percent shooting from the field, 6 3 pointers, 42 points, 13 assists, 3 steals, and the most impressive thing I think in this game was 0 turnovers for Dame Lillard. He and uh, uh, CJ went off in this game, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But that really it just I mean to play 42 minutes and have the ball as much as he did, um, and put up the kind of performance he did and not turn the ball over is just super impressive. And they got the win. So um, nothing more to say about that. I think that's just my take on it. Um,
Yeah, I mean, Dame has just been outstanding the last couple of games, and he's picking up steam and he's getting in the stride, and um, yeah, 0 turnovers. Yeah, if I was going against Dame last week and I saw that game, I'd be throwing my laptop uh,
yeah, man.
out the window.
How about your most intriguing box score? Looks like you first went with our guy Chris Boucher.
Chris Boucher, yeah. So Chris Boucher had a big week. Nick Nurse is starting to trust him a whole lot more. And what they're doing is although they're not starting the game with him, they're actually starting the second half with Boucher, because they're just really light on big man. They realize Alex Len is in it, and
Hmm.
Boucher, he just gives a little bit of everything. I mean, you look at that line, right? Like great percentages, a couple of threes, some big
Yeah,
points,
I'm so mad I couldn't get it.
rebounds, assists. I mean, me too. I mean, I honestly, I mean, I was willing to get him, but I wasn't willing to pay the price.
Yeah, yeah.
And and it was because of his age and because I know that Nick Nurse, like he doesn't like to play him big minutes. Like there's something that he doesn't like about
Well,
his
I think
game.
I think mentally he's still learning the game, and I think that's what it is. He's not yet fully developed all his basketball senses yet, so he's got all the talent and work ethic in the world, but he's still learning the game, I think, and so
And
um,
he's like 30 years old, right?
but
Like
but hasn't but
that's
hasn't played a whole lot of basketball for his whole life. So um, he's one
yeah.
of those late bloomers when it comes to basketball. So just talent and hard work alone is bringing him there. So my most intriguing BS of the week comes from our other the Dame Lillard's backcourt mate CJ. 43 minutes in this game. 6 3-pointers, 28 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists, Kyle, and only 1 turnover. CJ's not a big turnover guy anyway, but that's a great assist to turnover ratio. Again, playing those 43 minutes.
Was this the same game where they playing the Brooklyn Nets? Nah, I know they were, but it was probably some team that probably plays a similar defensive scheme as the Nets. This is just this is ridiculous.
Actually,
This
yeah.
line is ridiculous.
Yeah, actually, they were actually playing Sacramento. So,
okay, close enough.
That's your answer.
Close
There goes
enough.
your answer. But Fox and Fox looks like he's really trying on defense. And Tyrese Halliburton is not bad on defense either. He's actually pretty good. So, I think this is just CJ and Dame being just like, CJ and Dame. That's a bad matchup for a young backcourt like Sacramento. So, they showed out and they got themselves the W. So yeah, that was my most intriguing. Now let's move on to the most disappointing box score, the real BS of the week.
So for my most disappointing box score, man, it's got to go to Rudy Gobert, man. We just paid that man, or Utah just paid that man $200 million. And I saw a line of 29% from the field, 0% at the line.
Was he shooting nothing but threes that game? What's going on there?
I don't know. I don't know what he was working on in that game, but it wasn't basketball, because you draft Rudy Gobert for a couple of things: that's field goal percentage, low turnovers, some blocks, and some rebounds, and he gave you none of that, man. So I know that whoever owns Rudy Gobert, this past week, has got to be, punching walls, because that is just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, only had 4 points that game. And they were playing against Cleveland. Our guy Drummond must have been giving him trouble, man. My most disappointing or the BS line of the week, it comes from a guy that we've mentioned before, kind of underperforming. Trae Young, man. You thought 29% was bad, but I mean, for a shooter, these things can happen, but 9%, bro, 0 threes for a guy who we know, if you got a bet on somebody hitting a three, it's Trae Young. Just, I won't go into the other numbers. At least he was still dishing the ball a little bit, but I mean, come on, bro. Like, we can't have that. We can't have that kind of performance, man. It's not that's not allowed for a guy who you drafted probably first or second round. We can't be having that. That's just inappropriate behavior.
This is absolute trash. I would have him on the trading block pronto. Like zero. I mean, it was essentially 0 3-pointers and 9%.
Yeah,
9%, bro.
Over his last 3 games, he's only hit 3 3-pointers. That's not like Trae Young, and he's turned the ball over a hell of a lot. So not his most efficient pointers, but we've seen Trae Young start slow. Probably in his rookie year. Now, where are we at? Is year 3? Is year 3 for him?
Man, this is this year 3. This is like the car broke down, and like it's like the timing belt popped. Like
Yeah.
you need some talking to, because this is an atrocious line, man. Like,
yeah, man. Now, speaking of CJ and Dame, they recently had there was recently some talk about who's the best backcourt in the NBA. Um, CJ and Dame are making a big case for that right now. Let's hear what Dame had to say about this topic.
Next question's coming. I also saw your tweets where you was saying that it was a backcourt better than me and CJ too. Today? Well, I don't see how it would be today. After tonight, but you were saying you were saying the Wizards backcourt. I raised it as an option, but someone said there was no contest. So I said, well, what about Beal and Westbrook?
Next question.
That was his response, Kyle.
Yeah. I love his whole delivery.
Yeah.
He said, yo, I saw your tweets, like I love the way he put the pressure, and then I love how this reporter all of a sudden started to be a coward. I wonder, is he like one of
today?
Is this guy? Yeah, is he one of the beat writers for Portland?
I think he's the beat writer for Portland, man.
Oh,
he really got sunned.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
and deservedly so. Deservedly so. You're supposed to be the biggest homer in the world, especially if you're not ready to throw some counter punches. You gotta believe that's coming.
Yeah,
from a player with a lot of pride like Dame.
What this tells me is you can't look at Dame seriously, Dame or CJ, because both of them will give you the smoke, right? But they CJ got some fire too.
I know.
You can't look them straight in the face and tell them that some other duo is better than them, especially when they're both combining for 80 plus points in the game at their size. And I mean, I already showed you. I showed you. I mean, do we need to go back and look at the numbers? I
mean, but this reporter should not have a job. I mean, the fact that he brings up the backcourt in Washington.
I mean, they
just got together like yesterday. They just got together like yesterday. That is disrespectful. So I feel Dame on that. I feel Dame.
This was the same. This was the same game. 28 points, 42 points, 10 assists, 13 assists, a combined only one turnover. I mean, his point was simply, and we talked about this a little earlier too. This is why I thought it was funny you mentioned Russell Westbrook and the conversation about whether he was better than Kyrie. And you look at Bradley Beal. Is Bradley Beal a better player than CJ McCollum? I like him better.
Yes.
I like him better, right?
I say yes.
So now the next question is Russell Westbrook a better player than Damian Lillard? I say no.
No.
But you can't argue with what Westbrook has accomplished in this league, right? So if you look at the resume, somebody who's not watching basketball is just gonna say, oh yeah, this guy, he's a former MVP and he's averaged a triple double for 2-3 seasons. Of course he's better than Dame Lillard, right? That's what someone in 30 years, in 40, 50 years, when kids and adults at that time are going to start looking back at the numbers around these players, people are going to think that Russell Westbrook was better than Damian Lillard, right?
And I blame you know how I feel about this. I blame the NBA and all the people that vote for the MVP. Russell Westbrook did not deserve the MVP that year. I do not care. I am not giving a 6th or 7th seed the MVP of the NBA. I think that was disrespectful to the award, and I think to independently take away the fact that someone has statistically done something that you haven't seen in a while
Yeah.
is just I don't know. It's just detaching as far as like what's going on or downgrading like the teams that are like the first or second seed. It's like you guys are getting penalized because you guys have have made a good team. Like I am just not a big fan of what they did because he does it the very next season and then all of a sudden you guys don't wanna give him the award, or you're changing the metric, or you're saying that story's gotten old.
I mean, I mean,
I
I
I
mean, I mean,
I
I
was
mean, I mean, you can look at this year's example, right? We've just had 2 years of Giannis being the MVP, and it's most likely that he's not going to win it for a third year in a row, especially if we don't see Milwaukee take it to another level, and we don't see Giannis improve in some of those areas that people are expecting to improve on, particularly around his shooting. So he can do the same. He could put up the same numbers he did last time. He could put up, you know, he could do whatever you want statistically. He probably will not. People have probably already written him off as not winning MVP this year without even seeing a game. So, that stuff happens a lot. Going back to that conversation about the backcourt.
but but I also think that's a different story, right? Like you're not willing to give somebody the MVP because they've won an X amount of times. I mean, that's kind of what happened with LeBron, the last 10 years or 7 years or whatever you want to call it. But to give somebody, an award, right? Because, oh, everyone left town, and then, this is the last player that's left, but not taking into consideration when some of these guys that watch the games know what's going on. Like this guy is hunting for stats.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
like, I mean, it's just like oh boy that used to, throw the ball on his own basket and grab the rebound and get a triple double. Like, how is that any different?
yeah. I mean, it's all a fair argument, but to bring it back to the backcourt thing, y- y- if not Dame and CJ, who are both playing phenomenal ball right now, we got a new contender out there in Brooklyn, Kyrie and James Harden. Where do you think? Give me your top three backcourts right now, off the top of your head.
Top three backcourts. So, Dame, CJ, that's an easy one. If Clay was playing, it would be Curry and
Now,
Clay,
just
but that
active, just active right now.
okay. Certainly Kyrie and Harden, like that's the second pairing. Um, the third, so my default is Russell Westbrook and Beal, because it's taken me some time to go through all the teams and their backcourts.
Mhm.
Um, who's your three? And I'll circle back.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably a good three to hold. I mean, there's certainly the first three combinations that most people are gonna think of. Um, because of the way the Wizards have started this year, though, I'm not gonna be shy about looking at the possibility of what Milwaukee's backcourt could. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about Middleton being a shooting guard, which he's not. Um,
That's what
yeah,
I was trying to think with like
yeah,
Tatum and Brown, but Tatum and Brown is like playing like that 2 through 4 ish.
yeah, yeah. That's. I mean, you'd be looking at Kemba and Brown, or no, or Kemba and
And
Smart.
that's smart. That's
Yeah,
smart, right? Like
yeah. Never
so.
mind. So that's not it.
Um,
That's not it. You talk about CP3 and Booker. Um, That's
Not it
probably
for
that's
me,
probably
man.
not it. So yeah, I think it's I can't think of another backcourt combination that is really, you know, that I'm like super impressed by.
I mean, Luca and Tim Hardaway Jr. I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr. was looking all right,
Let's let's
but I
let's
mean,
let's let's move on to let's move on to wheeling and dealing, man. We had a couple of transactions this week. Not a whole lot of activity. Only 4 adds and 3 drops in the association. Let's run through them really quickly. Uh, Thomas Bryant, as we mentioned.
screen's not being shared right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, all good.
Thomas Bryant was an early pickup last week. We saw him get released after him getting injured. We figured he wouldn't be on the block on the waiver wire too long, and of course, the Speedsters picked him up, scooped him right up for a good price. Um, and then later in the week after after the big trade with Brooklyn, DeAndre Jordan gets picked up by Speedsters. Do you like any of those moves for Speedsters?
I mean, meh. I mean, Thomas Bryant, but I get it. It's a keeper. I just can't think that far into the future with a guy that's just been injury riddled. So it's kind of meh for me.
All right. Solid State. We talked about his depth issues, particularly around the guards with not having Colin Sexton, um, and went for Danny Green after his explosive game, as you pointed out in your BS of the week. Do you like the ad for Danny Green?
Sure. I mean, I think it's a little bit late. I think it was a great move for last week because he had 5 games. But I mean, Seth Curry is right around the corner. So I know he's starting, but Shake Milton's getting minutes. I don't know. It's just really messy, depending on what you're
Yeah.
trying to get. So I'd say no. I don't
Yeah.
like the move.
Yeah, Maxi is also in there. And Monty Morris gets picked up by Rucker Park, who I think is also having a little bit of depth issues at the guard because of Lonzo Ball's injury. Do you like the Monty Morris pickup?
Yeah, I mean, he's been in and out of my lineup for the last 2 years.
Yep, same
He's
here.
just a guy. I'm just waiting for him to take it to that next step, and now he's got the perfect opportunity. But
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know. He's just
and not even yeah, and he's got I think right now he's in a backup role, but I think he's in a similar position that Beasley was in before Beasley got traded. And I don't I'm not saying that I see a trade coming here with Beasley, but with Morris, but because I think they need him on this team, on the Denver team, but um, I don't know what his contract situation is, but I could see him being a big target for a lot of teams right now who are looking for either a solid sixth man or even a starting point guard. So at $2, Rucker Park could keep him, and he could become something pretty valuable into the season. So I like that pickup. Um, any additional thoughts? As you mentioned Philadelphia, I forgot one of the kind of headlines for that week revolving around the trade for Harden, which was Ben Simmons also was rumored to have been a part of that deal. This was actually after some time after Morey told him that we are absolutely not looking to trade Ben Simmons. Of course, nobody believed that. And now we find out that, in fact, a deal was actually on the table with Ben Simmons going probably to Houston. So, any thoughts about that and what kind of impact that might have on this team?
Yeah, it certainly shows that there's some tension, with Houston and Daryl Morey, which is now the GM of the Philadelphia 76ers. One thing I'll also highlight is the fact that I don't think Houston was really gonna do the trade for Ben Simmons, because Philly probably wasn't going to include as many picks, especially, given, Daryl Morey's track record. And I mean, what are you going to do with a Ben Simmons and John Wall backcourt? Be mediocre, for the next, 4 or 5 years. He just refuses to take jump shots outside. Ben Simmons refuses to take jump shots outside of the colored area. Although I will say I turned on a Philadelphia 76er game 2 days ago. And the first thing I see is like fourth quarter, maybe 4 minutes to go. And I see Ben Simmons taking a 3-pointer, and it was an air ball. And I just started, all I could do is start laughing, right? Because it's the common thing, right? We're telling somebody to do something that they're uncomfortable with doing, and then they do it, and they're vulnerable. And then all you say is like, "Yo, why you shooting that 3?"
Is that the day that Morey picked up the phone and said, "Hey, you still want Ben Simmons?"
Man, I don't know. I guess I just thought about it a little bit differently. When I expected Ben Simmons to shoot threes, I was thinking not in that moment, but maybe. But you know what? I can't remember the team that they were playing against, but it was a pretty safe team that they were going to win that matchup against. So I'm okay with it. And then to answer your last question, how does this impact the relationship the 76ers will have ongoing with Ben Simmons? I mean, it's already showed up, man. I haven't been watching all the 76ers games, but I see these Ben Simmons box scores, and I'm like, this dude is just happy to be here, man. He's just chilling with the Kardashians, do a little bit here, do a little bit there, but he's not really committed to this organization. And, as we've seen, once you start dealing with Kardashians, your whole basketball.
How's that make you feel, man? This is one of your franchise players, man. How does that make you feel?
Man, I'm puzzled. I don't know. I don't even have a really good spot. I mean, Ben Simmons is unique because he gives you enough stats and his price doesn't inflate enough that you can build a lot of different ways around him. So he's always going to be a piece that's very hard for me to trade. Although now, he's starting to show up with a lot more injury. So, maybe that changes. So
he's always been a little injury riddled to me. So
yeah,
not really a big surprise. All right. As we speak, the Warriors have climbed back to take the lead against the Lakers, if you could believe that. I think we missed probably a good comeback. All I saw was Kelly Oubre talking crazy in one of his plays. He forced a turnover and did one of these.
So annoying. I hate Oubre. The more I watch it, the more I hate him.
Yeah,
I hate him more than Andrew Wiggins, so that tells you where we at right now.
Oh man, let's make our week 5 picks, which has already started early due to MLK weekend. So not quite at a 0-0 start just here, but what are you thinking? My Great Danes against the Sparrows. I'm continuing to roll with my team. No Kyrie tonight, but I'm hoping he comes back sometime this week. I've got my full lineup out there mostly. So I'm gonna go with my team.
Yeah, and similarly, yeah, I'm going, with your team, the Great Danes here. I mean, nothing to see here, nothing to see here with the Sparrows. being on the other side.
Amherst plays Solid State. Any chance for upset here?
No, I'm really low on the speedsters. I covered it in great detail on the recap, and Solid State has got Harden for 4 games theoretically. Brooklyn Nets have 4 games this week, so good luck to you.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough one. And for James Harden's first game, he had a triple double, a historic triple double at that. And tonight he comes back with 34 points and 12 assists. So it's gonna be a tough one. I think we're both gonna end up correct here with Solid State. Your Brooklyn Phoenix plays the Bombers of Beantown. I'm going with the Brooklyn Phoenix. What are your thoughts here?
I'm rolling with the Phoenix too. We're hot. We're burning. Ashes to ashes. We're killing it right now, and on the other side, we've got a tough matchup against the Beantown Bombers, especially, with no Cat, unfortunately, this week. But I don't know. The Brooklyn Phoenix has just figured out a way, and I'm hoping that they continue to be on the lucky side of things. I mean, it's going to be tough. KD's got 4 games, so
right.
I'm a bit worried. Hopefully he sits one.
So I was just about to ask you if you think the KD at 4 games is gonna.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this is a great time to sit him, especially if they can win the next game as well. Yeah. And Kyrie comes back. Yeah. It's a great time to give him some rest.
That could be. We've got the Celtics going against Blake Express. I think if we went power ranking wise, we would have gone with the Celtics. But I see an upset coming here. I think Blake Express probably shows the ability to perform at a slightly higher level than maybe we anticipate. And similarly, I think this might be just a bad matchup for the Celtics, just because of the big man discrepancy that and lack of production that they have on the Celtics. So I'm gonna go with Blake Express. What about you?
Same here. I'm rolling with the Blake Express as well. It's Dame time. He's got the backcourt to himself, and I think, yeah, as you said, bad matchup, bad timing for the Beantown Celtics.
All right. And as we mentioned, the brand change. Titanes de San Juan is playing Frankfurt, formerly the Titans, formerly BBB. They're going to Germany this week. What do you see in this matchup?
I see Frankfurt Flyers, having enough with Fox, playing really well and picking up some steam. They've also got a games advantage against San Juan. So, yeah, I look for the Frankfurt Flyers to come away with a victory this week in a tough matchup. I don't think this will be like a blowout or anything, but I feel pretty sure Frankfurt comes out with a 5-4.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I think these are two teams who are somewhat evenly matched. But I think Frankfurt has a little bit more firepower when you consider they've got Kawhi Leonard on their team and has Markkanen back, who played great. A underperforming DeAndre Ayton, but as you mentioned, had a big night tonight. And then Fox has been he's been dropping a lot of numbers. So, I expect to see Frankfurt take this one. True Grit plays the Kings. The Kings have been playing, have been making upset. They're currently sitting at 7th in the standings. Any chance that they continue their big
You
performance
know,
and beat
I
it.
I really wanted to pick the Kings in this matchup. Um, However, I know Beal is a big component, to their success, and knowing that two of the games are not going to be happening, with the chance that it could be something bigger, because I don't know what's going on with
Hmm.
Washington as far as the COVID breakout. Um, yeah, I just couldn't go in that direction, and
Hmm.
I know that True Grit's missing Valanciunas or Big Val, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually gonna go with the Kings upsetting True Grit in this one. It seems crazy, but I don't know. I just have a good feeling about the kind of week they could have. As you mentioned, it's gonna be tough with no with Beal missing some games. Beal is the leading scorer in the NBA, um, but they still have Curry, and they still have some guys who can score the ball. But um, you just never know with injuries and postponing what could happen. So injuries is really big right now when it comes to True Grit's team. As you mentioned, Val is out, no Bogdanovich, no Fournier. I look at some of the guys they have in the lineup, including Dort, Baisley, um, and Alec Burks, who's also injured. Um, I, I could see an upset happening here. So we'll move on. Cranston goes to New York to play the Clinique. What I told you Porzingis is back. I told you John Morant's back. They're in the lineup. Do you think this matchup is worth mentioning yet? With Russell Westbrook obviously still in the lineup and not playing.
snooze. I will not pay attention to this team until I see them be competitive and win a matchup. Until then, bye week. Bye.
Bye week it.
Bye
Bye
week.
week it is. I'm going with the Killers. Too much talent there to ignore. Um, and last matchup, Midtown Moneymen, the number one team in the league currently, going against a underperforming Rucker Park Busters. Who do you like in this matchup?
I know came down really hard on Ruckle Park Busters, in the review cap, but I mean, sometimes the scheduling gods, throw you one, against a very competitive and tough team. Um, I like Rucker Park. I mean, Midtown's losing CJ, which is the second ranked player. Um, and I think it's just going to be really tough for Midtown to figure out a way to come out on top and a victory there. I mean, the unfortunate thing is Rucker Park's probably only got the upside for like a 6-3 ish type of victory, even with Midtown missing one of their better players. Um, but I like Rucker Park a whole lot here in this matchup.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna go with Rucker Park here. I think they've got the advantage when it comes to games played. I think just a few guys kind of concern me on Midtown. We're gonna see if the success that they've had is sustainable, given that CJ's playing basically at a all-time high level in terms of his career path. So far, we've just never seen this level of CJ before, and so whether that's sustainable or not, that's going to be the question. Um, same thing with Jeremy Grant. Same thing with guys like Tim Hardaway Jr., who you said was looking good. By the way, tonight, 0 points, 5 rebounds, and that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. No CJ. Um, you know, can Jokic carry this team by himself? Possibly, but I think it's going to be a tough week. I think Rucker Park gets it. That concludes our picks for this week. That concludes the wrap up of week 4. Anything you're looking forward to when it comes to week 5?
Man, I want to see what Kyrie Irving looks like in this new Brooklyn Nets roster, and kind of how things shake up as far as what they do on the court and how that relates to fantasy basketball. Um, and yeah, that's the big one for me. And then if Dame can get wins without CJ being in the lineup, and of course Nurk, not there as well, and how that plays out.
Yeah. Same thing. I'm looking forward to actually seeing some of the new guys in their new uniforms. Jared Allen. What happens when Kyrie gets back into the lineup? Uh, Similarly, I want to see if the Celtics can kind of bounce back from their loss in New York, and Kemba can integrate into that offense and look a little bit more like Kemba. I think people have their doubts given his recent injuries, but I'm hopeful that he'll be more like the player that we're used to seeing. Other than that, man, I'm hoping to see you know um, just some good games. I mean, I think we had 2 tonight. From Brooklyn, their win over the Bucks tonight, and then the Lakers lost to the Warriors. So that was two good games. And my Knicks continue their winning streak. So we're looking good. Back to back wins this past weekend. So feel good. Let's keep it rolling.
Word.
All right, man. Well, if that's all, man. I thank everybody who tuned in, who's gonna watch this recap. Feel free to drop us a line. Add us on Twitter. I go by Dr. Dane Andre on Twitter. Kyle is at Killanomics1 on Twitter. Drop us a line on the YouTube. Like, subscribe, share with anybody you think who's interested in NBA talk, fantasy talk. Until then, have a good night.